Hey everybody, it is the Waco Kid here on Monday, June 27th, 2022. This episode is a part of a series of what I will call I Told You So, Devon Larratt. And this one speaks to the fact that there may be a crazy person out there or crazy people out there that have it out for Devon Larratt who happen to live near where he lives. And I mentioned that and alluded to that fact in another video. And I know his fanboys and his fan base are thinking, oh, he's just, Waco Kid's just pulling that out of his hat. He's just BSing. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, I kind of do. From the facts that I've been able to attain online, from different people that I've talked to who didn't want to be named and want to remain anonymous. How can I say this gently? They're pretty pissed that they lost a lot of money betting on Devon Larratt. There we go. That's kind of the gentle way to say it. So let's go back to December of 2021. During that time, it became apparent that Devon Larratt was going to be taking on Levon Saganashvili, King of the Table 4, in June, and they'd already signed the contract. And at that time, the feeling and the vibe and the consensus was that Levon was likely to prevail. And so even some of Devon fanboys and that ilk were probably thinking, I'll put 20 on 11. Even though Devon's my boy, I'll put 20 on Levon. And his name is also pronounced Levin. I noticed that the Georgians tend to call him Levin, but I guess he goes by either way, Levon or Levin. And I may go back and forth. But back in December, even the diehard Devon Larratt fanboys might have said, well, I'm glad that Devon's going to try to go for it, but I'm going to go to ARMBET and put $20 on Levon if I can. Okay, so you're asking me, what is ARMBET? Now, I haven't spent a ton of time investigating ARMBET, but it appears that at the helm or close to the helm sits Devon Larratt. So I don't know if he's the founder, if he's a sole proprietor, or if he's a managing member with an LLC, if he's the president of a C Corp, or whatever hell his role is. I don't care to spend too much time investigating it. But he is a principal with ARMBET, and it's basically a website that can link you up with other arm wrestlers. There's also merch you can do. But the big part of it is this thing called staking, and I don't have any expertise in staking, but it is gambling. If you want to know the truth, just go there. You'll see you're actually gambling. They'll have amount of money you can give for one opponent. They'll have amount of money that you can give for another. And eventually, if enough people buy into that, it'll say zero or sold out. And the underdog, typically, it seems that the price can go I've seen go all the way up to $1,000 or more. So you are betting, and you are winning, and you are losing. So back in December, you could have gone to ARMBET maybe and said, I want to put $20 down on Levon Saganashvili. Something like that, because he wasn't the underdog. He was likely to win, and so I don't think they were giving him high odds against him. So I don't think I think more money was on Devon Larratt at that time. Now, I don't have all the screenshots and all that business. But anyway, you might have put $20, thought, well, what the hell, we'll let it ride. But then came along deception, overstatements, exaggeration, and the con from lovable, laughable, second-rate Devon Larratt. Now, back then in December, all of us, and I believe including Mr. Devon Larratt, I'm giving him the Mr. on this one, knew there's no way in hell that he was going to be able to prevail with Levon Saganashvili. I mean, that was universally known. But he tried to tip the scale illegitimately, and I'm not going to go through all the videos. I'm not going to put clips of all the stuff that he said. That may be in a different video. But little bit by little bit, he started unraveling this idea that he was going to lose guaranteed, and that all of a sudden that there's maybe a chance for him. Okay, so by February, I might have taken my $20 and said, what the hell, man? I'm not going to bet that on, let me cancel that out. I'm not going to bet on Levon. I'm going to bet on my boy Devon. He looks like he's got something going on here. In fact, I'm going to bet $100 on the guy. I think he could probably do it. Can I afford to lose $100? Yeah, I could go out to dinner a couple times on this one, or there's a lot of Starbucks right here. Right now it's maybe a half tank of gas. Back then maybe it was a full tank of gas or more. But yeah, I got $100 to put on my boy Devon. He's really coming along. I see that all the stuff he's talking about. He's pulling some people that I think are pretty strong. So yeah, let's put $100 on. Let's go to ARMBET, put $100 on Devon and let it ride. I think that in June, yeah, he's probably gonna be able to hold his own and do pretty good. He only has to win a couple according to ARMBETs. So that was the deal with ARMBET. If Devon just won, I think the first one or two or whatever, you'd still win. Okay, so it's February 2022, and I'm gonna bet $100 on Devon. So there you got your $100, and now here's the other crazy thing about ARMBET. Again, I didn't spend hours and hours investigating ARMBET, but my guess is, and this is an educated guess, that whether win or lose, whether Devon Larratt were to have prevailed a few days ago on June 25th, or like what happened, lost, I believe that he still makes a big pile of cash. So I don't know if you guys know that or not, but I believe since he is involved there and probably has a higher up role in stake.com, or just being affiliated with one of the, I guess, what would you call it? One of the principals that deals with stake.com, there you go. He probably gets something out of it regardless of win or lose for each competition. So now in February, a typical fanboy might have put up $100. Now, where does the craziness come in? I don't know about you guys, but there have been a couple times when I was younger where I lost a significant amount of money. One was on a biotech stock back in the 90s that I had researched to death. I even hired a financial advisor to do some research for me. I got the prospectus. It was a biotech company, up and coming biotech company, and I ended up putting a lot of money on the actual equity. I actually ended up buying options. I actually ended up buying some call options on it. So I was speculating, but I also had the real McCoy as far as the actual equity. And I also started recommending to some people that I knew, including a girl that I was dating at the time. And the stock started taking off. So it started taking off. But about a year later, some bad news came out about that biotech company, and man, it crashed and burned like almost overnight. And when it was all said and done, I lost around $10,000. And I was a young guy then, just right before 30, maybe 29, 30. And I was almost suicidal. Because I'd lost a significant amount of my money at that time. I didn't lose the house or anything, but this was liquidity for a guy that was under 30. And that was a big amount. And I almost got suicidal. I really felt that bad. That money was gone, and then some other people that had recommended that stock. And so I got a little bit crazy, and then I had to snap myself out of it. Okay, so now let's fast forward to where we are now. There are some people that have that same kind of mentality when they lose money, a significant amount of money, but they get crazy and they don't snap out of it. They want to take it out. They want to lash out on somebody, especially if that somebody is a culprit and misled them. In my case, there's no culprit. I just misled myself. I did all the research, but maybe I'm not a stock expert, so maybe there were some things that I missed. And I got my tail clipped really good on that one, and some friends of mine did too. I felt horrible about it, to the fact that I just briefly almost felt suicidal. That's how bad it was. So fast forward to right now, June 27th, 2025. And then a couple days ago on the 25th, somebody somewhere out there has lost a significant amount of money. Now, I'm not saying 10,000, but there are some people that bet more than $100, bet more than $1,000 on Devon Larratt. And they would not have done so except for the fact that he deceived them. And I would almost say, allegedly, I'll use the word allegedly so I don't have to worry about any lawsuits, but became fraudulent in the way he was portraying himself and the Levon Saganashvili match. Fraud. Let's talk about fraud. The legal definition of fraud is, let's take me causing you to rely on something that is not true. That's about as simple as you can boil fraud down to it, the legal definition. If I cause you to rely on something that is not true, and then especially if you get hurt in some way, physically, emotionally, financially, I'd be guilty of fraud. Now let's take a look at what Devon Larratt did from February up until June. So Devon Larratt talks about gaining a lot of weight. He talks about lifting more weight. He talks about getting on drugs, steroids, human growth hormones. We don't know all what he took. I have a suspicion that maybe he didn't take any of it. And you have to be extra smart to be able to come to that conclusion, but that's what I came to. If you look at Devon Larratt in unaltered photos, especially the one at King of the Table 4, he looks just as skinny as ever. He must have got pumped up, and then they had to Photoshop those pictures for him to look extra big before. The consensus was after February, it went from he might win a couple to Devon Larratt is talking about how, you know what, I think I might actually win this thing. I think I'm going to win it. I'm feeling strong. I'm pulling people all day long. I pulled 100 people when I was at this Canada competition. And of course, he's just pulling girls and people like beermen, that are half drunk off their ass when they're pulling. But one guy that I do admire, I think that this guy is strong, and I don't know how it happened. The guy named Pork Chop. I got onto his channel. First of all, the guy seemed like a pretty nice guy from what I could tell, and he seems hella strong, and he's a good arm wrestler. So there's something wrong when I saw Larratt and Pork Chop arm wrestling. Something's not jiving up. This guy, Pork Chop, is strong, and I do believe in reality he's stronger than Larratt. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know if Pork Chop was in on this. I hope he wasn't, and kind of just didn't really use all his strength and started making people think that Devon had really gained all this strength. I hope that he wasn't in on it. Todd Hutchins, I think Todd didn't want Levon to win at all costs, and I think he exaggerated this BS about Devon feeling much different, or maybe unconsciously. He really didn't want Levon to win, so he just said that. I don't believe that what he said about Devon being so different is the truth. And so anyway, then you got Devon's beer buddy, Beerman, saying that he's a different person. He couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. I think some of that was contrived and artificially created to make us, the consumer, think that Devon had somehow gained this ultra strength when he did not. I think if we could get a fair and equal representation, unbiased, with Pork Chop feeling good, going against Devon Larratt feeling good, I don't think Devon is going to be able to win. But whether we could get Pork Chop to actually do his best, I don't think that he would, because he doesn't want to maybe outdo or disrespect Devon. I think that's what's going on here. So I think that's what happened. I think if we could create a realistic situation where Pork Chop wasn't going to be worried about embarrassing Devon or maybe degrading the value of a Canadian like that was going to be going against somebody internationally. Based on what I've seen Pork Chop do, I think Pork Chop could kill Devon Larratt. I think he held back there, and he probably won't admit this. In fact, he might even admit to the opposite, that there's no basis for this. But based on, you go watch some of his videos and see how strong he is. He's much stronger than Devon Larratt, and he's a good arm wrestler. So there's something off there when you watch him and Pork Chop. Okay, so around April, you're thinking, you know what? I don't think there's any way that Devon can lose at all to Levon Saganashvili. I'm going to cancel that $100 bet that I made back a couple of months ago. I'm going to change it now. I'm putting them $300 on Devon to win it. I really got confidence now based on what Devon has been saying. He's been pulling these people. You got Todd Hutchins saying he's different. You got Bierman saying he's different. We know he's on roids. So what is he taking? Human growth hormone, Dianabol, Anabol, speed, and amphetamine, and what the hell is he taking? I don't know, but it's working. I mean, the guy's going crazy, and you're seeing all these Photoshop pictures of him. Oops, did I say Photoshop? You're seeing all these pictures of him where he looks so much bigger and so much stronger. And so I'm changing my bet on ARMBET to $300 on Devon. Yep, I think he's the man. He's going to get it in June. Are you following where I'm going with this, folks? So real people out there have been hurt in real time financially because of, in my opinion, fraud, but we'll use the word alleged fraud. We can definitely say deception. And like I've alluded to in another video, conning people into giving their money to ARMBET, which he's going to get some regardless of whether he wins or loses. It's very sad what he did to people, to normal people. Some of these people that lost a significant amount of money might have been hardworking people that didn't have a lot of money to lose, kind of like me when I was younger. And so now in April, you got a lot more people betting higher amounts on Devon Larratt. Let's fast forward now to the end of May, beginning of June. At this point, the vibe, the feeling, the tide had turned to not only Devon talking about winning it, but Devon saying things like, I'm going to rip his arm off. I'm going to bleed him out. I'm going to flash pin him. Then you had other people saying that Devon's going to flash pin Levon 6-0. Or maybe if it's going to be a war, it's going to be a 4-3 kind of thing. So it switched all the way to the opposite end of the spectrum to convince people and mislead them, deceive them, that Devon was actually not just going to win, but he was going to totally destroy and annihilate Levon Saginashvili. Folks, that is what I would call misrepresentation. I would call that fabrication, lying, deceit, and I'll use the word alleged fraud. Remember, fraud, causing you to rely on something that is not true, where you end up getting hurt in some way, physically, emotionally, or in this case, financially. All the while, Devon knew that he could not prevail at all with Levon Saginashvili. I also believe that Devon Larratt lied about being on the pancakes, being on the drugs, being on the steroids. I also believe that he didn't really gain that much weight. I believe that he took potassium and salt tablets to make him gain water weight when he weighed in before the match, or when he had other weigh-ins to make you think that he had gained weight. But he had not. He had not really significantly gained a lot of weight. I believe it was water weight. You can gain up to 15 or 20 pounds of water weight by taking salt tablets and potassium and some other things. And then, of course, it'll quickly go away like a day or two after that. So I have a hunch that Devon Larratt did not take any performance-enhancing drugs or steroids or anything of the type. I don't believe that he did. I believe that a lot of the pictures were photoshopped. And so when you see him looking bigger, it was photoshopped, or he had a photographer take angles that might have made him look more larger than he really was, or he was actually pumped up for some of those pictures. Again, when you look at Devon Larratt standing unpumped next to Levon Saginashvili unpumped, he looks like a little kid. And then when you look at him around other people that aren't as big as Levon, his arms don't even look as big as mine, folks. Look at that. I'm not pumped. Devon Larratt's arms are not even as big as mine. I mean, what the fuck? He's just a mess of spider veins is all he is, and that tends to make someone look bigger. I think he fooled and trolled and punked everybody. I don't think he took any performance-enhancing drugs. I don't think he gained any real weight. I don't think he came in any stronger. In fact, if you really look, it looks like he came in weaker. Raise your hand if you think Devon Larratt actually came in weaker than he normally had been in the past. I think Devon Larratt was weaker than when he fought Dave Chafee. I think he was weaker than when he fought Jerry Carteret. I think he was weaker than when he fought Michael Todd. Hello? Anybody out there think the same thing? Something wrong with Devon a couple days ago. So I'm making this a nice, fat, long video for the record book. Somebody in the future may want to go back and get another opinion that's not a Devon fanboy, warped opinion on Devon Larratt. You're getting more of an unbiased opinion. I didn't bet on either guys. I don't have a stake in this. I don't really have any skin in the game. I'm kind of like an outsider just looking at the whole thing. But I have spent a ton of time sifting through data and facts as much as I could on both these gentlemen. So it's not like I'm just pulling this out of my butt and present it to you guys. I'm using real facts. So lots of lies, lots of deception, what I would consider fraud, but we'll use the word alleged fraud, just because I'm not going to be involved in any kind of stupid lawsuit for saying that he committed fraud. Also, I've heard tell that it's hard to prove somebody commits fraud anyway, just in a general sense. I've heard it's difficult to prove that. But it's just my opinion and my suspicion that there was some fraud going on here. It's also my opinion that at the end, Devon Larratt has come out flushed with stacks and stacks of your money. Let's fast forward to the middle of June, a couple of weeks before the King of the Table 4 match with Devon Larratt and Levon Saginashvili. And now the $300 that I wanted to bet, not me personally, but I'm using myself as an example, but the person out there who's going crazy now, they're so sure that their boy Devon Larratt is not only going to win, but he's going to destroy Levon Saginashvili, that they canceled their $300 bet at ARMBET, and they still have time. They go out, and this individual or these individuals don't have a lot of bank, but they muster up everything they can. And folks, you probably can't tell all this because some of it is bunched up, but this is $1,000 right here. It really is. You probably can't tell, but it is. I'm holding $1,000 right here. And so these people that are crazy now mustered up $1,000 and beyond. So I'm not going to hold up, 5,000. So there's somebody out there, and there's some people out there who've invested more than $1,000 on Devon Larratt. And there's a lot of you that went to ARMBET and were so sure that Devon Larratt was going to win, they plunked down $1,000. Folks, even rich people will tell you, especially the ones that pinch a penny, they will tell you they can't afford to lose $1,000. These are millionaires. How much more the rest of us normal working people that aren't rich can't afford to lose $1,000? I mean, that could be a mortgage. That could be your rent. That could be a couple of car payments. That could be savings for your kids' college education. I mean, that could pay off some credit card bills, right? So most people that are non-millionaires can't afford to willy-nilly lose $1,000, especially if you were deceived and lied to and things were exaggerated and someone caused you to rely on something that wasn't true and influenced you to bet all that money and knowing that you were likely going to lose it, but they weren't going to lose it. Who's they? That's Devon Larratt. Win or lose, a couple days ago, the guy was going to make stacks of cash. And I know a lot of you probably don't know how he could have done that. It's because he's a principal with ARMBET, who is an affiliate in some form or fashion with stakes or staking.com, whatever that company is. And he was going to make a ton of cash regardless of the outcome of his performance with Levon Saginashvili. What we also don't know is, did Devon Larratt bet against himself? Did he bet? I would like to know that. I don't know if we could ever find that out. But did he take $10,000? Did he take $50,000 and bet against himself, and is sitting there with even more stacks of cash than we could even imagine, because he bet against himself? But in other words, bet that he would lose. So we got crazy people out there. In the U.S., we see them all the time, shooting up schools, shooting up Walmart, shooting up churches. So you can't dispute that there are crazy people out there. I've even had some people on my channel comment saying that, be careful, watch my back. don't come to Canada. We'll be looking for you. Now, they were under anonymous YouTube ideas, but they basically wanted to try to scare me or make me feel a little bit paranoid or maybe make me feel feared. For what? For speaking to you through this medium. That's all I've done. I've done nothing else. I've done nothing in the physical world to hurt anybody or harass anybody. I've just stated my opinion through this medium. And yet I had some of Devon fanboys threaten me. Now hold on to that thought. But I haven't caused anybody to lose money. Now let's go to Devon Larratt. What happens if you are really buying into his stuff and you also are a little bit emotional, or you got a screw loose up here, you know, or you're a beer short of a six pack, or whatever, however you want to call it. And that person got so convinced about Devon Larratt that they took their stacks of cash and they put it all on Devon because they knew without a shadow of a doubt Devon Larratt was going to win it. And then you saw Devon's performance. Can you imagine the cringe factor? Can you imagine the tears and the anxiety and the anguish of somebody that had bet all this money to not even see a war, not even see a fight, not even see Devon put up any resistance to Levon? I mean, would that blow your mind? If you thought that, if you went into June 25th thinking that Devon Larratt was going to just annihilate Levon, and then you saw nothing, that is going to make somebody crazy or some people crazy. And when I say crazy, they're not going to let it go. There's some people out there that can't say goodbye to $1,000, especially when they got duped, especially when they got trolled, especially when they got lied to, especially when they got punked, especially when they got conned. Some people want vindication. Some people want revenge. And most of us law-abiding people will just suck it up, cry in our beer, and say, fuck it. I got hoodwinked, conned, caught with my pants down. I'm out of a lot of money. Devon Larratt's got my money. Screw it. What can I do? I can't do anything. That's the normal person. Now, by the way, let me remind you, I didn't bet anything on anybody in this match. But then there's a couple of people that are outside of the spectrum of normalcy, and they're not going to let it go. That's why I said in a couple of videos ago, Devon Larratt, you better be careful. You better be minding your P's and Q's. You better be aware of your surroundings. So to recap, this was a long video going into, I guess, a prediction of mine. I predict that there's at least one person, or there may be several or a handful of people that are crazy enough to take their revenge out on Devon Larratt or his ilk in his hometown. And they may even be Canadians. They may live near where he lives. They're not able to stomach the fact that they lost hundreds or thousands of dollars by being lied to by Devon Larratt. And his exaggerated claims of what he was going to do to Levon Sagnashvili. These people kept betting more and more and more and raising their bets. And boy, they got taken to the cleaners. So my prediction is you're going to hear about something in the next year, some kind of revenge or some kind of adverse action by some unknown individuals that are kind of crazy bent, trying to get back at Devon Larratt for how he duped them on this June 25th King of the Table 4 event. There's just some crazy people out there that aren't going to let $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 go out of their hands and go into Devon Larratt's pocket, all because he duped them and he conned them into believing that he was the real deal with this match. So when I've dug into my predictions, I've come out right on most of them. When I haven't really dug in, I'm just, willy-nilly flipped them off. Well, then they're, just half dozen, one or the other, right? Got the predictions right on what was going to happen with the King of the Table 4, and it's not because I just pulled it out of my butt. I did some research, I looked at the facts, and I got 2 of the 3 right. I'm making a prediction that there might be some adverse reaction, some repercussions, something negative will happen by some people that are hell-bent and a little bit crazy that got screwed by Devon Larratt, screwed out of a lot of cash. My prediction is you're going to hear about something or somebody most likely in the next year. So probably they're not stupid. They're not going to do it tomorrow. But these people are not going to let it go. And you're going to hear about something, I would say in the next 12 months, it's going to be something negative or worse by these people that got duped by Devon Larratt. And you can take that to the bank, my friends. It's Waco Kid. I got a couple more of these I told you so Devon Larratt videos coming. And they're going to be long. But hey, if you got nothing to do, or maybe you can do some of your grippers or something while you're doing this, or you can turn it on and be doing your stretches. I mean, that's what I do when I watch a longer video. So they're going to be long. I'll see you in the next one. It'd be interesting to get your take on this in the comment section. And what I would like for you to comment about is, do you think people could actually lose 500 or 1,000 or more and by being lied to and duped and not care? In other words, not want to take revenge on somebody that lied to them and caused them to lose that money. Is that your opinion? Do you think that this video is much ado about nothing? Or leave a comment if you think that maybe I might be onto something here. Leave a comment that if you believe that someone lied to you and influenced you and conned you and you lost a lot of money, that there might be some people out there that want to take revenge. I'd be interested to hear your comments out there. Even if you're a Devon fanboy and you want to say that what I'm talking about, no, can't happen. People will lose lots of money and they'll still worship and they'll still love the lovable Devon Larratt. They're going to worship him. They'll give him all his money. They'll rain money on him and they're not going to take revenge. I'd like to hear your opinion. See you next time.